What's going on, guys? I wanted to take a look at SOFI, or however you want to pronounce it. So basically how I have this drawn on my chart is this long-term resistance leads all the way back from when at one point it hit $28, and then it had a little bit of choppiness action where we multiple times touched this resistance here around $23, $24. And then we ended up dumping. Now, since this recent, which you can clearly see, inverse head and shoulders here, you could call it, we ripped up past this 1780 level. We ripped up, and recently, when we zoom way in, we had almost a perfect touch point on the same resistance line that way back here we touched multiple times. And you can see that I don't even have this line perfectly set up here, so that could bring us in for a perfect touch of that resistance line. I could even just screw around with it just to clear it up a little bit more. Got to come down, something like that probably. That's still not perfectly touching it, but I'm going to leave it just roughly like that. But we can see that we pretty much probably touched it perfectly if I was to set that up right. I'm not going to spend too much time. And we kind of had this rising wedge. Now I was looking at this rising wedge on Friday, right out during this candle here, and I was thinking that, this is getting so tight that this thing is either going to break to the upside here and power move all the way up here to this long-term resistance that I have also above at 2111, or we're going to break down here and have to retest this 1787 and potentially some lower areas. You can see here, we tried to close above, we rejected. I can go back and we can see here, perfect touch point, rejected. And I'm sure it goes back to here, rejected, so on and so forth. So I'm going to try to make this quick because my battery's low right now. I'm using my phone as always, guys. I do need to get in a laptop soon and maybe we can do some better videos. But right here, to me, looks like a perfect point for a bearish scenario that could lead into a bullish scenario, depending on how it reacts in this range. So this is just me looking at probabilities of this thing going to the upside from here. And, looking at it, yes, it looks very, very nice on the weekly. We have this beautiful potential double bottom that could bring us up to all-time high, above all-time highs potentially, or at least bring us back up to the $28 area. However, the probabilities to me seem a lot greater to go down from here. We had a very strong run since we bounced off this support line that I have drawn in here around the 1630. You can see here, taps here, taps here, taps here, rip. Now we're starting to kind of get a little bit of a rounding action going on here. So I don't know how long it would take to play out, but I'm really curious to see how are we going to react here. I opened up a short here. We might have more opportunities on Monday to open up further shorts if anyone's interested. If you're feeling way too bullish, then you'll hate this idea. But I'll show you some reasons what caused me to open up these shorts. And I opened it up before we even broke this resistance or this support, meaning I opened it up before confirmation, potentially, right? Well, in my view, I had a confirmation. And my confirmation was this 4-hour potential bearish divergence setup. So not only do we have this potential channel here that I believe I drew on the 1 hour. Nope, maybe I drew it on the daily. I drew it on the daily. We can see the RSI. The RSI is the true indicator here. We came up, we tapped this area here. We rejected. Double bottomed on this line. Came up, lower high. Came up, tapped this resistance. Came down, double bottom. Came up, tapped this resistance. So, we could expect that it could come down and potentially double bottom here. However, the more times you test support, the more often it's able to be broken. So the question is here, are we going to double bottom once again and then rip to the upside? And is this double bottom that we do, if we do a double bottom there, if we do a double bottom there, will we rip back to the upside and break this descending resistance? Or are we going to have to fall further down and retest some low supports? That's going to be what I'll be watching while I have this play opened. This is the first red candle here. We could create a bullish falling wedge that back tests support, that rips us back and gives us a beautiful springboard action off and pushes us through, and this thing's bullish as shit. But with these bearish divergence that I'm seeing on the 4-hour time frame, which we can see right here, well, was it here? Or it was based off of this. The last time we came up into this range, was it on the 4-hour? Because I don't know if I really care to go through that. No, that's not it. Oh, that was the daily. That's why. It was the 4-hour. There we go. Okay, I was going to say that doesn't usually work going that far out. On the 4-hour time frame is where we have our divergence. So we can see here, at this point, we were down at 1789, and at this recent point, we're at roughly 1987-ish. On the RSI, in the same point, we were at 1740 here. And where are we right here? We're at 1987. Which RSI is higher? The lower price action, we were at 1747 here. We were at 1987 here. So that's, to me, is bearish divergence right there. So that's what I'm playing. And if you don't understand that and you don't agree, take a look here. I think there was another scenario of that same thing. Right here. Right here, when we tapped this upper resistance, we were at 1750. Right over here, we were at $16. Look at the RSI. We were at 1750 here, but we were at $16 right here. So this right here is the bearish divergence. If you're not familiar with that, it's a very, very good thing to learn, because it's going to tell you when to take profits. It's going to tell you when there's going to be a drop coming before this happens. Now, it's not always going to be the perfect way to know, because there's going to be other reasons for corrections. Like, for instance, tapping a resistance line that causes the drop as well as the bearish divergence. Right here, tap this resistance, drop. Tap this resistance, drop. Tap this resistance, drop. Where are we now? Tap this resistance. So the probabilities for a tap this resistance drop seems a lot more stronger, in my opinion. How do we know if it's going to hold support? We really don't. So what we'll have to do is just watch this RSI potential channel and see. Because most of the time when we had that bearish divergence, we just dropped and double bottomed on that support, drop, double bottom on that support, drop, double bottom on that support, drop, double bottom on the support, or this time will we fall through? That's what we're going to be waiting and watching for. So I opened mine up around that 1975-ish, and I will play it down to a couple different scenarios here. I'll play it down to this support here of 1791, and I'm going to watch it and see if we create some bearish divergence. If this daily RSI is showing me that we're down at this trend line. If we don't get down to this trend line and we find support somewhere else and decide to do this, say we come down, we tap here, and we end up coming back up to retest this, and this RSI has only dropped about this much, I might have to wait and close it, possibly open up another one, because it's possible we come back down here, we rip, we get rejected, we create some kind of bearish divergence on the RSI, and then that ends up causing us to tumble even further down, which can actually lead me to a much bigger profit. And if we did actually come up, break this area here and rip up here to this area, but we have bearish divergence and I'm down a little bit on my option, I mean, I might close it when we break this. That could be a potential risk management strategy that I use for myself. if we broke this and started ripping to the upside, but we have bearish divergence here, and then we notch over when we're up here. I mean, I might close it if we came back and broke this old previous resistance of 1990 area. Or I might say, you know what, I can take the small loss, I can tap this area, and then fall back down, and I can open up more right here. You know, that would be the way I would look at it. But obviously options are tricky, and you can lose a lot and you can make a lot. So, you know, you have to use your risk management and you can't get greedy. But, you know, this is just will be the few scenarios that I'll be watching. I mean, if we use some indicators here, if we take a look at the Keltner channel, we can see that the Keltner channel, every time that we tried to hold support on this upper Keltner channel line on the daily, we tried to back test it as support, and we fail multiple times. And when we fail, we drop pretty hard. We come back up and we use it as resistance, and then we drop again. When we ride it as support, it's bullish. So could we come down, tap this 1843, get a rip back up, potential rejection at this, come back down? Or could we come down now, break that, try to hold support potentially on the second Keltner channel line, that's around 1730, get another break up, but actually get resistance at that daily Keltner channel? I mean, there's a few different ways that it can happen, and I'll be looking at these different indicators to try to give me the best edge over this market. If we look at the Ichimoku cloud, we can see this heavy resistance that we broke through. We completely cleared. The first time we tapped it, we rejected. We fell back down, found support here. We ripped right through. And now we're trying to continuously hold above here, which is 1920s. So we'll have to keep our watches on that. However, if we look at the 4-hour, where's our support? Besides my trend lines that we have in here, where's our Ichimoku cloud support? It's down here around 1650. And we do have one converging trend line here, this blue line. I mean, looking in the past, it didn't hold that much significance, but it is sitting right here at the support line of this breakout at 1790. So maybe it'll come in confluence with that potentially. If we look down at the hourly, this blue line actually has held decent support until it doesn't, and then we back test it as resistance, and then we drop back into the cloud support, where then we find support. So this cloud is really ranging from this lower support of $17 up to about $18.30. But that's really going to come down to, do we hold 1915 or do we lose it? And if we lose it, do we come back and back test it and then fall further and then find support in the cloud and then rip to the upside? Or do we finally break this cloud, use the cloud as resistance, which leads us back down to our key support that ends up landing somewhere down there? Let's look at the daily and see. I mean, I don't want to be super bearish on this thing. I really liked it, and I really do like it. It moves very well. However, I got to do what I'm thinking seems to be the best scenario for my money. Am I going to buy it up here? Hell no. Would I buy it down here? 100%. I'll say 98%, just in case it was to fail. If we came all the way back down here, got really squeezed, that could be a scenario right there. If we came down here to this support here and decided to hold it as support, that could be a great buying opportunity. We have some support right here that was previous resistance in this red. So, you know, where does that land? Does that land us back down in this range? $16 roughly, 1630s. So there's a few different ways to look at it, and you know, that's what I'll be watching for while I have this short open. I am going to keep it open. If we do start breaking up above this 2050 and holding and daily closes above it, and this thing decides to continue up here after this small, tiny little correction that doesn't look like it's ready to rip back up yet, but if it does, you know, we could come back up here, retest this, a lot of resistance right here, 1990 to 1992. If we can clear that, then we might hit this yellow line. This yellow line is the same area here. When we break through, we rip, we back test it, we fail. We break through, we rip, we back test it, we fail. Multiple times. So that yellow line to me is a key resistance. We're very close to touching it. So maybe we'll come down, we'll come back up, we'll follow this channel. Maybe we'll get one wick to here, and then that will be the ultimate short. I could be early. I went a month out on this. Maybe we do this. I'm not sure. I can't predict it, but I can definitely say that there's some bearish indicators, and a lot more bearish than bullish indicators right now, showing me that this is a great shorting opportunity. And then taking the profits is where it comes in clutch, because you can either ride it down to potentially this $18, close it, ride it back up, short it again, and then bring it further down, depending on where that ends up being. Or you can open it, let it come down, let it come back up, short it again, let it come down, and potentially drop it further. I mean, I've had some pretty nice short openings. I don't make a lot of videos on them, unfortunately. But, I post them on my TradingView a lot. PLTR, that one was huge. Although I made a bullish video on it, not too long after I started calling for a short. I mean, I might have to look at PLTR in here to find it. I mean, if you follow me on TradingView, then you definitely saw my shorting idea, and I may not be able to find it. It might have been a little too far back at this point, but people were all calling for a long trade on it, and I'm looking around and everyone's calling for longs. I saw some very bullish things happening. I made a video on how bullish it could actually be, and then I started really looking at it and really diving deep and looking for the divergences, the same thing that I'm looking on here. And I ended up noticing something that nobody else was seeing. And I went, holy crap, this thing is about to drop. So I put my short in at, you can see some people calling for shorts now. I don't know where the heck it is, so it's kind of annoying. I can't find it. So I might have to edit this out, but if I don't, I'm sorry. Just skip a minute or two ahead, so it's not so boring. But there we are. September 23rd. Everyone's calling for longs here, right? No shorts, long. Everyone's long. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, after I made that bullish video, maybe a week later, or maybe a couple days later, I was looking at it and I'm like, this thing looks like a huge rising wedge. So I was looking at it, tapping this upper resistance up at this 28.68, and I was like, you know what? This thing's coming down here to 23.50, and this is my target. You can't see it because it's cut off on the screen, but I was looking for that area. Now, this isn't a video to brag. It's just a video to show that, sometimes looking out at different things and looking at things a different way than everybody else is a good way to make some extra money. And this was one that I did, and I made a good amount of money. I did close it a little early. I didn't actually, even though I had my targets down there at 23 something, I did take profits earlier than I wish I did, but I think I made $500 or $600 on the short, and I think the thing ended up being worth $780 when I was done for it, that I bought for $175 during the time when everybody was buying calls and thinking that it was going up. So, I mean, this was what happened. Let's just take a quick look. I know this is about SOFI, but let's just take a quick look, because this is based off of the same scenario we're in with SOFI, in my opinion. I don't have to be right, but same type of thing. We tapped this resistance, and what did we do? We double tapped this resistance. And what did we do after I put my short in, right where this red arrow is? Boom. We dipped. We lost this support here. We fell further. I took my profits, I think, right around here, because I was under the impression that, maybe we'll end up taking another rip to the upside and getting rejected in one of these 27 levels. But it ended up falling completely below and creating a further area here of a bearish pattern that looks like it's going to drop it further down. So I could have kept this thing open completely and still been banking off it. Well, actually, I think I would have had to. No, I got mine. It was open November 5th. It was a $31 put. And we're still looking like we could potentially drop further here. Although we have some support down at this 21.30 that looks like some pretty strong support, 21.24. But needless to say, this was the same scenario. Everyone's calling for longs. It broke a pretty damn key area that I talked about in the video on it, and still had a bearish pattern leading into it, which caused it to drop. And bearish divergence. We had bearish divergence, which is why I opened it. Look at how high the spike was. I also had this rising wedge, kind of like the situation we have going on here. I guess we could move that and stuff, call it something like that. But needless to say, we had bearish divergence. Here we came way up here. Here we came way down here. And look at the price action. Right here, straight across on the price action. This is what bearish divergence does. So, anyway, that's a long enough video. I'm not trying to convince anyone but my own damn self because, I could ask people right now, hey, I could tell people right now, hey, I opened up a short on SOFI, and they could go, holy shit, you're crazy. Look at that chart. It looks fucking good. What are you thinking? What are you seeing? What are you doing? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this time it does come up higher and I lose some money. But I'm going to stick to what I'm thinking, and I'm going to stick to what I'm feeling and what I see. And we'll see how it goes. And if I end up making some profit, or if it ends up having a nice bearish day and it comes down here, maybe I'll make an updated video and talk about where we can go from there, and if I do see any potential of it bouncing and doing my bullish scenario, or if I think that it's going to end up falling further to the downside before another move to the upside. But yeah, we'll be in touch. And if it ends up ripping to the upside, maybe I'll make a video and say, hey, I was wrong. This thing's ripping. I might have to put some longs in, and I close my shorts, and so on and so forth. Or maybe I'll post a video. So we'll see. But until next time, guys, hopefully this was helpful. Peace.